Alright, here's a short story. It's raining. We're at Fort Steilacoom Park. This is CXR number 5. And this is where Nationals has been held before. It's not as cold as it was last year, but it is raining. Sometimes hard. And I rode last night and the arm feels better. Well, okay, it's always hurting, but it doesn't hurt sharp. Just dull. So we're gonna go to test ride. And then I'll go sign up. How much standing water will be on this course?
You're racing a 9:45 or
9.
you're staging in 5 minutes?
Yeah, I know. I'm getting ready.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah, my shoulder? Yeah, I think so.
No, that'll be back. Are you moving? Is that right?
Yep.
Where are you moving?
Back to Canada. Back to Ottawa. Got the keys. I have the keys. Let's do it. All right. We did a course preview. Course is about 2 miles long. And we are about to race. Line up in about 2 minutes.
It is.
There you go. I didn't know.
Should be call-ups anyways.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Anybody who's racing for the first time this season, please come front. Yes. Yes, that is me.
Anyone who has the most electronics on.
Yes. Possibly not me. Possibly. I've only got 2.
Kind of
Only 2? Okay, 3 if you count the gimbal, but this is attached. All right.
Good speed coming into the corner. Elbows out.
Okay, so the race has started, and I started in the back for one. People who have been in previous races have points, so they get called up. And so since this is my first race of the season, I didn't get called up, of course. And so I didn't decide to try and push myself up because I had no idea how I was going to feel racing. So
Get in the lane,
I didn't
dude.
want to be
Easier.
in the front. We're in the middle of the pack. And so this run-up is pretty brutal. But I was pretty glad I ran it every single time. Well, ran as much as I could. So with 12 weeks off, my mounting and dismounting was terrible. I haven't been practicing.
How do I get on this thing again?
And so I didn't start very well there, and I got past a couple people, and then I got on the way up the hill, but then trying to get on my bike, I lost a few spots. And really, I think part of it was just kind of warming up. Normally I would do a warm-up right up until the start of the race, but I didn't want to push my shoulder too much. So I definitely started slow in this race. And as we were going up this hill, I was thinking to myself, like, whoa, am I going to just get totally dropped? And I was like, man, I have really lost a lot of fitness. So that's what I was feeling. I have been on Swift quite a bit, but I haven't got as many miles in as I normally would. I think over the last 12 weeks I've done just a bit over 300 miles on Swift. So as we got up here, I started to kind of, get my wind back. And I started to think about, okay,
How much more do I have in my legs? Can I push it a little bit harder? And so we did one lap of the course, and up in this section it's off camber, and what I mean by that is that there's a slope because we're on the side of a hill, it's grassy, and then they have these turns going back and forth on this hill, and so you're doing off camber turns. It's pretty slippery. So here I felt like I was just kind of sitting in the back, and I wasn't pushing at the pace I wanted to ride at, so I just started to push up through and when there's people in front of me, it's a big motivation to just go hard. So these turns are slippery now, but later they get even worse as we dig into the lines and start to, open up the mud. So this outside line here, this is mossy. It's really bumpy underneath. It was tough. That's why most people were staying in this line, the Warren one. This one's fun. Off camber, then uphill turn before having to do another turn back downhill. Okay, so we're coming into a section where later I say my bread and butter because it's a downhill. And this is where I got my fastest speed on the course, which I think Strava went and said it was about 24 miles per hour.
Oh, you're right.
So I love this section. Now here, it was a really tight pass, and my back tire slipped out. And then once I got around the turn, I just started sprinting for all I could. And then I'm leaning back a lot, and this turn here, I was just hoping that I was going to have enough grip. And then you pop into this field, and it is terrible. It is so bumpy. Thing is that downhill is like a big breather for me, even though I sprint at the top to get the speed up. And then this is just a long slog across this field. It's super bumpy, and the grass really robs your speed. So there is no sand on the course this year. The sand is normally just to the left there, but it looks like they're building a new drainage or holding pond. So the sand section is gone, but this long grass section just really made up for it. Now, what was funny is at the beginning of the race, I didn't leave it in there, but the course official said that they figured it was going to be about 3 laps, and we finished the laps a lot faster than that. So I think we're finishing the laps. The leaders were at about 7 minutes, or a little bit quicker. All that to say, I thought going into this that this was going to be 3 laps, and we get around, I think on my 3rd lap I see that we have 3 laps remaining, and I was like, oh man. So last year I would have jumped those barriers, but that's basically the height of a barrier that
James.
I was practicing on when I crashed in September and separated my shoulder. So I was like, I am not going to risk it. So it sounds like these people are cheering me on, which was really, really nice because they're cheering, go Mark, go Mark. But what it was is that just behind me, there's a guy named Mark. And so he was close trying to pass me, but I held him off. And so it was funny because as I'm like riding, I'm hearing, go Mark, get him, get him. And so it felt like everybody was cheering for me. So there's lots of footage like this because the course is, long grass sections. So what I'm going to start to do is, after this first lap is complete, I'm going to start to chop the video down so that you just kind of see some of the highlights. It was a good course. It was fast, so obviously they thought it was going to take about 10-12 minutes to do a lap, and the leaders were doing it about 7 or a little bit less. So it was it was a fast 2-mile course. I was really surprised. So the gimbal does get a little bit off here sometimes, especially when you're doing turns. But also I found that the gimbal also has like drift when you're on sometimes straight sections, just especially when it's a really bumpy terrain. So it will get off, and then it will fix itself sometimes. And sometimes I have to adjust it. But it does an amazing job for how bumpy this is, and the running sections. I mean, the running sections, there's someone who comments that, oh, that video is going to make me sick, but it actually looks pretty decent. This is a fun little section here, just before we come back to where we started. It's got nice speed, and some of these mud sections, the mud was so smooth it wasn't deep. And because we were going in a straight line mostly on it, it was just super fast. There was lots of traction in this stuff. Now stick it on a turn and you were going down. So this is where we started, so that's one full lap.
Try and figure out a good lap time here, and then we'll figure out laps to go.
So you can see here I'm commenting. So what they do is when the leader comes through, whatever the leader's lap time is for the first lap, then they go and take that, and depending on how long the race is, like our race was a 45-minute race, they take the lap time and divide it by 45, and then they figure out how many laps it's going to be. And so you don't know going into it what the lap is going to be until the leader goes through for the first lap. So for me, I'm not going to know until I come through on the next lap how many more laps are remaining. And here we go for the run-up again.
Thanks.
So I think for about the first 2 laps, every now and then I say something like thanks, but I could not talk. I wanted to talk into give commentary while I'm racing, but I could not speak. So I was close to my max heart rate. So right when they come off the top of that, some people were trying to mount right when they come off the top, which is fine, but what I find is the mud gets in your cleats, so I run forward onto the I run to the gravel and I slam my cleats so I can try and knock some of the mud out. So he was saying that the race is after the run-up, which is true, because once you come off that run-up, your heart rate is elevated, your legs are pretty hosed, and then you've got this long section, which if you are not on that right line, which is really hard packed, the middle is this pea gravel that is really loose, and it's just saps your leg energy. And then you hit another uphill section, this one, before you get up to go around the water tower. So nice thing is after that water tower you got a little flat section here that you can kind of catch a breather. So that was one of the riders that I got past in the early part of the race. He's in the open category. So this race was open men, Cat 4, and also Masters men 35 plus Cat 4. So that's the race I was in. So he's most likely under 35. But you'll see a couple of the open men pass me later in the race, and so those are the race leaders. And so that category, the categories usually start about a minute apart, I believe. So a lot of this with trying to stay up is trying to pick the right line so that you can keep your speed up as you come through the turn, or to come through the turn. And I'm leaning over there quite a bit on some of those turns. And so a little bit later in the race, I'm going to crash on one of these turns. This one here, I believe.
Here.
Yeah, so that one is slippery, and I'm going to crash in a
Getting
little
greasy. Yep.
bit. So that's one of the course officials. He sets up the course, and I yelled out to him, getting greasy, and he's like, that's the plan. So, like I said, as this race goes on, we're the very first race of the morning, and as the race goes on, this course will get worse, and so it'll be interesting to see and hear from some of my friends how it went later in the day. One fun thing, right off that turn right there, it's loose gravel, so that's an easy spot to go down as well. This is such a fun section in this course. But this is a pretty tight turn, and you're always on the edge of kind of like crashing along there because it's a little loose. As you come down here, like last year, there was someone just around this turn who was walking up. It was, watch out, race. And also last year, there was a turn right here, so we came down and went right through the tape because we had too much speed. But this year, we're going out into the field, which is nice.
Ooh.
Again, back to the bouncing.
All right, my heart rate's dropped down. I can talk. Shoulder. Certainly feeling it. Because they're out near the start. First lap. 1.3 miles in. He was hurting. Now, it's a constant ache.
So by constant ache, I mean on the first lap, about when I hit the start line, which about 1.35 miles in, I looked down and my shoulder was aching, but it really was just a dull ache, and it wasn't sharp or anything
How do
like
you get on
that.
these?
When I did a ride 2 weeks ago, to test out my shoulder, it was sharp. It hurt bad, and so every bump just jolted my arm, my shoulder, and my wrist. So that's why I didn't start racing 2 weeks ago. But like I said, it really just started to be a dull ache, and then it sat like that for the rest of the race.
Get in.
And I was able to pretty much ignore it. And after the race, it actually felt fine. Partially adrenaline.
Dirty. Not too bad.
And I'm recording this now, about 24 hours later. And my shoulder feels fine, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll be back racing again this weekend.
Thanks.
I got a nice beard. So the hill's super muddy. At the beginning of this video, you saw me putting on my shoes, and if you notice, there's these big spikes on the front. So those are pretty.
Thank you.
They're pretty handy. They're replaceable. I've replaced them once.
They said 3 laps. We're only 20 minutes. 22 minutes in. I think there might be 3 more. That's gonna be exhausting.
As you can hear, it's hard to speak going up this one. All right, we're back into the off camber. So crash is coming up.
Nice. Did you miss the crash? I know.
So I'm definitely getting tired. I took some of the turns,
There
they were
goes
a
my
little slower. So I landed on my butt. Thank goodness I didn't hit my shoulder again, eh?
This place is getting so slippery.
Got that right.
That was just my butt.
All right, so then after that I was a little bit more cautious. Not too much though. The good thing about cyclocross when it's super wet is that mostly the ground is soft and dead in some of the fall, and a lot of times you just slide. That's the good thing about it. Alright, back down my favorite hill. I'm not sure if you like watching this downhill, but I do. Looks like warp speed sometimes. Well, when you pause it, it does. if you squint. Well, seriously. Alright, I'm leaned back here. So I'm trying to take the outside line there so I can keep my speed up. And I was trying to figure out how to take this one. I had to slow down because I was like worried that if I came through it too fast, tires weren't going to grip and I would just slide out.
2 more.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dying.
Just warm it up.
Yeah. 2 more.
Alright, here comes this hill again. Man, the struggle is real. And so that's the leader passing me from the open category. And so with this, I realized if he passes me, then I don't have to do 2 laps. This is my last lap, which means I'll be 1 lap down. I was pretty tired though. And for my first race, I'm happy.
Men's open. Go get him.
There goes second place. And now coming up behind me is Michael, and I raced with him last year, beginner, and so he's moved up.
Go get him, Michael.
And he's in 3rd place, and he actually takes 3rd place.
Yeah. Go get him. I won't block you.
And there's another guy right with him. So they're battling for 3rd.
Oh man.
It's downhill. You might ask, does it cross my mind about crashing at 20 plus miles per hour? Sometimes I think about it and I go, yep. But generally then I just go, whatever. Mostly all I'm thinking about is, what's the best angle? Where's my line? How much do I want to lean over? How much grip do I have? And then I lean back and just go. Here comes another one.
Thank you. Welcome. Go get him.
I don't think he's going to catch him though. They're pretty far ahead. The gaps are pretty big.
Take it.
I mean, technically I don't have to get out of their way, but I'm not going to block someone else who's racing in a different category. Alright, final stretch.
2 Agencia riders which one of our teammates? Both on pink bikes.
I'm sprinting for 15th. Yeah!
Probably. The running footage is.
After a little bit of a
Alright,
crash at the very
I'll let my heavy breathing carry it home, and then back to on-site footage.
You are done. Anybody who wants to preview the race course can go from the finish line forward at this point. You are done. Yeah. Good job, Mark. I want to say 15th spot. Mark Orr, 16th spot today.
Hey, Jeff.
Riders who'd like to preview the race course.
Apparently 15th spot.
7th and 8th. And
James is on his way.
Like,
He's going through the barriers. How you doing, James?
Right.
We got lapped.
15th.
We are 1 lap down.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Oh well.
Mark Thompson, 16th unofficially.
When I came there and they said 3 more laps, I was like, are you serious? And I'm like, 20 minutes, I guess so. And then 2 more, I'm like, oh man. And then when we got lapped, I was like, I was so happy to get lapped. All right, we're back racing. Yay. Next race is Woodland.
Well, there we go. So I went down once on one of those. I was coming around the turn and I got there and leaned up with my arms out because there was a photographer. And just after he took the picture and he turned, I went wham and slipped out and fell down. So I lost a bit of time, but I got back up. But we started at the back and we ended at the back. Booyah. But feels good. We didn't have any rain. Sometimes it's nice to race first because it's going to be it's going to look like a nice lake, a nice flat brown line to follow, mud line, and that was the line that we made, and then I stopped riding in it because it was too slippery. It's going to be tough for people following us. James, God, you're the camera, the microphone. Ruining the shot.
The real sounds.
Real
Cyclocross.
sounds of cyclocross. Traditional.
Alright.
Ride, root beer, repeat. Woo. Only the good stuff. Good sugar,
stuff.
sarsaparilla.
Brought to you by Virgil's Root Beer.
Brought to you.